Welcome to another CareerFoundry live event where this evening I am joined once again by Dr. Humera, and the title of this evening's webinar is an introduction to data analytics. So anybody who's interested in data, this is the event, and we're going to take it from scratch, look at the data analytics process in Google Sheets. Now, if you look in the top right-hand corner of the screen, in the handouts, you'll find the file that we're using is a food delivery app. You can download that there. And firstly, I'll just introduce myself before introducing Dr. Humera. I'm William, Events and Communications Manager here at CareerFoundry. CareerFoundry, we were founded in 2013-14 with one of the older players in the industry, and we offer career change programs. So what you get on the program is, obviously a lot of support. We have a mentor and a tutor with every student on the main programs. We have a curriculum which is developed in-house, and we take you from scratch, help you learn the new skills, tech skills, in-demand skills, and we also help you get the job afterwards with a job guarantee as well. So I know there's a lot of people joining this evening. We'd love to see where you're all coming from, so please don't be a stranger. Say hello. There's a chat on the right-hand side. We've also got a question and answer bit, so Dr. Humera is going to present and go through the Google Sheets and also the food delivery kind of app. And then afterwards, we're going to be taking some questions from the audience too. So please say hi. We want this to be as interactive as possible. I'm going to disappear, and then at the end, we're going to have a question and answer section. So please just put your questions on the right-hand side. Hi, everybody. Dr. Humera you may have seen in previous videos that we've done on YouTube and also events that we've done at CareerFoundry, has been working with CareerFoundry as a mentor. She's a leading expert in data analytics and also machine learning, and is a fountain of knowledge in this industry. So we are super, super happy to welcome her once again. I don't want to say too much because I think Humera is going to introduce herself a lot better than I am. But thank you for joining, everybody, and I hope you enjoy this. And if you've got any questions, just pop them in the public chat. And yeah, Humera, I think I'll disappear into the background and give the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, William. And that was an amazing introduction. Thanks for that. So hi, everyone. This is Humera, and I am a data analytics mentor. I've been with CareerFoundry for over 2 years now, and have been in this industry, the data-related industry, artificial intelligence and machine learning, for over 20 years. So I'll try to share my knowledge with you, and more specifically, give you an introduction to what data analytics is all about. And if you are looking forward to start this as a career, or you have just started and want to take a next step, uh, where you can get started from. So what we are going to do today is really a hands-on exercise on how a data analytics pipeline look like, and basically we'll build our own little project. As you already know, you have the data with you. It's going to be about food delivery. But before we jump into that, a quick note on what this data analysis is all about and why are we here actually talking about data analysis. So data analysis is actually, as per one of the Forbes recent reports, one of the top three fields, which is the fastest growing ones for the upcoming decade. Which means, and more specifically, as we are moving from an offline world to an online world, as we are becoming, everything is becoming more and more digitized, there is data generated. And to handle that data, to analyze that data, to make sense out of that data, we need some kind of analysis, and that's where data analysts fit in. And as you can imagine, this is not specific to any tech field only. You can talk about any field from technology to sports to healthcare to social work, you name it. Data is there, and we need to analyze that. And that's why this field is still the most popular field of the decade. It's going to be the one. How do we get into data analysis, and how does this pipeline look like? So the pipeline is actually a 5-step process. As you can see here, once you know that you need to work on data, once you have specified your problem, and that problem in our case is going to be food delivery, but that problem could be anything. It could be some kind of health disease prediction. This could be a customer analysis. This could be the product reviews that you are getting. This could be uh, Bitcoin price prediction. So the first thing that comes in this whole pipeline is problem specification. So you know the problem that you are going to tackle, and then this pipeline starts. It's a 5-step process, as you can see here. It starts with data collection. So you know you have a problem to solve. Now you'll go about collect the data for that, then you clean up the data, because real world is quite messy. It's noisy, and most probably the data that you will collect is not going to be perfect in the first run. So you need to clean that up, because if you don't clean that up, basically you are putting garbage into your pipeline, and garbage in, garbage out. That's the rule of nature. So you need to clean up your data. And then comes in the descriptive analysis. So before you dive deeper into hardcore analysis and taking up like difficult mathematical models, you'll first simply look into the data. And actually, there is a big mistake which seasoned engineers do. They simply dive into complicated analysis because they think, that's where most an analysis or most patterns or most gems will be. But it's actually not true. A lot of gems are found even while doing descriptive analysis, and you should never ignore that step. Then you move on towards exploratory analysis, and this is where you do real digging into the data, identify patterns, and finally you visualize that, and then comes the storytelling part. If this sounds a little, even if a little bit intimidating, don't be scared. We are going to cover each of these steps in detail, and I'll start with data collection. So the first thing is you need to get data to explore it. Makes sense. But where do we get this data from? Especially if you are new. Actually, how many of you are very new to data analysis and this is going to be your first interaction with data? Feel free to drop a message into the chat if you are totally new to data analysis, and William will pick it up by the end of the session. But yes, the first thing that you need to do is to get the data. And where can you get the data? There are a lot of resources out there, but just to name a few, you can find data sets online. And actually, CareerFoundry has a very nice blog on where to find free data sets. I can quickly show it to you as well. And William will share the link of this blog online. And here you can actually see that there you can to begin with, you can start with a Google dataset search, and you can just go ahead and type free datasets based on your interest, whatever topic you want to talk about. And then there is another portal, which is the Kaggle portal. And actually, our dataset today is coming from Kaggle, which is a data science community, a community of data analysts. And you can not only get data from there, but you can also discuss your problems there and get views and reviews from others on your data, and you can analyze other people's data as well. And then there are many generic and specific data sets. So as you can see here, if you want to go ahead with a specific earth related data, then there is this earth data set. Or if you want to talk about a specific physics related data sets, then there is certain portals for that. Again, the link should be there on your screen. So just go ahead, have a look at them, and you can find more data sets online. So the data set that we are going to use today, you already have access to this as well, but just in case you can't download it directly, you can also go to Kaggle and search for food delivery system, and you can find this data set there as well. And actually, let's do this, because the first step that you need to do is to get the data and part 1B would be to import that data. You open that data. So let's just do this. So as I just mentioned, this data set is coming from Kaggle. So if you go to Kaggle and you search for food delivery system, you will actually find this data set there. You already have it in the handout section. You download the data. Now that the data is on your machine, we can have a look at our download file. So the food delivery file is now downloaded. What you need to do now is to import this file into your Google Sheet. And Google Sheet or Excel is the way, is a tool which you can use to get started with data analysis. So that's also a very positive thing about data analysis, which is that you do not need to have complicated tools, or you do not need to have a lot of background knowledge to get started with it. You can start with the freely available tools out there, and these tools are actually quite strong to get and provide a lot of support to get you started. So let's just do that. So I have just downloaded my data and now I need to import this. So I have opened a new tab where I am on Google. I'll go to on the right side. If you are not on Google by default, then you can actually type google.com and you can actually go to Google. So this is your first screen, and on the top right side, you'll see Google Apps. You click on that and then you go a little below to the sheet section. So once you are at the sheet section, you can create a new blank sheet, and this will give you an untitled spreadsheet from where into which you can start importing your data. So we have just downloaded, as you just saw, we were on Kaggle and we downloaded, or you have it on your handout section, you have downloaded the data, it's on your machine. So now let's import this on Google Sheet. And let me quickly verify if my screen is visible, and yes, it is visible. So I go to File and I import. So you have multiple options to import. Since our file is on our hard disk, we have just downloaded it. So we go to the upload section and we either select a file from, you can select a file from your device, or you can drag and drop it here. So we can just select a file from your device, and here is the food delivery.xl, and I open it and it asks me, do I want to open it in this sheet? Do I want to import the data? And I, yes, want to import the data on my current sheet. So I just import it here, and I see that the data that was downloaded is now here. Let me save this file as not untitled spreadsheet. Let me call this as CF for CareerFoundry food delivery. Uh, That's it, so that it's saved and we can later on retrieve it. Now let's have a look at this data. We are done with our first step actually. If I come here and I look at my slides, we are very much done with the step one, collect the data. Of course, in real world or in other, actually not only in real world, in certain situations, you may want to collect the data yourself. So for example, you may say, I don't want to use a pre-existing data, I want to collect it myself. You can definitely put sensors out there and do your own data collection too. But anything that goes from here will remain the same, where whichever form your data is coming in, you will need to import this in a sheet so that you can process it further. And what's the next step? Cleaning the data. To clean the data, we need to first explore it. So let's have a look at our sheet and see how does our data look like. And then we'll also try to find out if the data needs, what kind of cleanup does the data need? Does it need to, do we need to remove the duplicates, or are there missing values that we need to fix? So let's move to the sheet and uh, look at the data. So our data has how many columns? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns, say A till H. And what are these columns representing? The name of the person, age bracket. Then there are number of orders in a month. And we can see that then there is a parameter on effect of COVID-19 on food ordering habits. Then there is average order value, and so on and so forth. So there are some preferences for payments, delivery time, etc. And how many data points are there? So we can scroll a bit down and we can see that, okay, there are 446 data points here. So actually 446 minus 1 because the first one is a heading. So there are 445 data points. It's a good enough data set to start with. And we can also see that some of the data elements are numeric values, which means number of orders in a month. By numeric value, we mean numbers, as in numbers which have a mathematical meaning. So 4 is more than 3. Why I need to emphasize this? Because all numbers are not numeric values. So for example, a preference for online payment method. You also see this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are representing different categories of data. So this is a categorical data. And here you cannot say that 4 is more than 3 because 4 might be representing a preference for uh, uh, online system, and 3 might be representing a preference for um, cash payments, and 5 might represent a preference for not credit cards but PayPal, let's say. So different categories might represent different buckets of information. So that was a side note. Let's see what problems our data could have. We just saw on the slides that duplication could be a problem. Duplication could be a problem because you are actually replicating your data point. So if I say, how many people are actually making orders 2 times in a month? And now if I have this data replicated, what I would do, I would just count how many people are placing an order 2 times. So 1, 2, um, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. But what if one of these rows or multiple of these rows are duplicated? So we are counting uh, data incorrectly. And this is what I mean. If you don't clean up your data, you are actually going to end up with wrong data. Google Sheets actually provide us a way to clean up the data by removing the duplicates. And how we can do that? So first of all, you select the data. So on the top left box, you click it. So if right now it's unclicked, and I click on this and it has selected everything. And now you can go to data, and under data cleanup, there is a point saying remove duplicates. And if I click this, it will ask me what kind of data do I have. And there is a data header. Yes, there is a data header row. So I select that and I then remove duplicates. So it looks into the data automatically and it tells me that there are 2 duplicate rows that were found and removed. So now there are unique rows remaining. So I'm like really all good. The first step was already done, and now I am able to remove those duplicate rows, and one partially my data is already clean. There is also a possibility that you may have some data where there are missing values. So let's find out if there are missing values in our data set or not. And if yes, then let's remove them. Again, select the data, and then you can go to data again, data cleanup, and trim white space. This is one way to remove your white spaces, but I want to show you another way how you can do this as well. And to do this is, again, you click on the top left box and you select everything. And then now you go to where insert, and you actually create a filter. No, you don't go to insert, you go to data and you create a filter. When you did that, these three dots or lines actually appear along with each of the heading. And you can now create a filter. So I want to show you two uses of creating a filter. One is identifying these white spaces. So let's say if there is any missing value or a white space in our first column. So we click on this filter button, and here it tells us what do we want to do with this data. We want to create a filter. First of all, remove all the existing filters. So we clear the previous filters and we select only the blanks. What this will do is it will only pick out those data points where there is a blank in column A. Why column A? Because we are applying a filter on column A. So if I click OK here, now I see a lot of blank spaces, and this is something which I may want to get rid of. I don't want blank spaces towards the bottom of my data. So what I can do, I can click on the cell row and select all of them, scroll down, and once it's all selected, then I can right click and I can delete selected rows. So now you can see that there is no empty row left. But I don't see any data anymore. This is because the filter is still active, and I'll go back there again, and now I'll select everything. So now it will show me all the data. Let's quickly create some artificial missing value. It's also possible that, for example, this data set had this value missing. If we will have missing values, and if we will try to use them in some kind of numerical or plotting calculation, missing values will disturb our data points. And for that, it's important that we handle those missing values. So for example, how can I find that? Again here, now this is column D that I'm talking about. So I'll go to the filter of column D, and I'll clear all previous ones and only select the blanks, and I click OK. And now you can see that this one is the one where we had a blank, and uh, this row is highlighted. And now you can actually decide how do you want to fix this missing value. Do you want to replace this with another average or something, or do you want to delete this? I'll just put the 5 back here, and I'll remove the filter. I'll select everything back so that I can see my data again. There is one more thing that you can do with filters. So maybe you want to see only those elements where people placed 5 orders in a month. How can I do that? I know that number of orders in a month is column C. So I can come here, I can activate my filter, remove previous filters, and only pick value 5. And I click OK. And now it tells me all the rows where the value is 5. And you can do further processing on only this selected data set. And this is quite powerful because you can actually look into the data and make a lot of sense out of it. This was cleaning of data. Of course, you can make this as more complicated as possible because there could be scenarios where you have data coming from multiple sources, and they might be of different formats, and you may want to fix that. That's also part of cleaning up. And you can keep it as simple as possible, just like we just did. For a beginner level, this will actually give you a very good head start. Now that our data is cleaned, let's now explore it a little bit for more descriptive analysis. And descriptive analysis actually give us some statistical measures. We calculate some statistical measures, and this is good enough to also find out if there are any trends or patterns in the data, or if there are any problems with the data. So let's do some analysis, and we can calculate an average, median, sorry, minimum, maximum, etc. So let's get back to work. Let's go back to our screen and do some analysis there. For this purpose, I don't want to spoil my main sheet, so I'll create a new sheet. I'm sorry. So let's create a new sheet, and I'll call it descriptive analysis. Descriptive analysis. And let's give some headings here. So let's say this is my statistical uh, analysis on which parameter do I want to analyze? I want to analyze the number of orders in a month. So stats on number of orders. And what kind of statistics do I want to generate? Let's say I want to generate an average, and I want to generate a median and minimum and maximum. And let's see what does this tell us. Google Sheets actually provide us a lot of built-in formulas that we can use for this descriptive analysis. How you can use them? You start by putting an equal to, and you give an the term that you want to use, so average. So let's say when we want to calculate an average, it lets you autocomplete, and now you see an open bracket. You need to select the data for which you want to calculate the average. So let's do that. So we go back to our sheet 1 and we select the column C because we want to get the average of our column C, because we want to get the average number of orders placed in a month. We close the bracket and we hit enter, and now we get a number 4.87, which means that the number of average orders placed by all our users is 4.8. So as we can see, some are placing only 2 or 3 orders, some are placing 8 or even 10 orders a month, but the average is coming out to be 4.87. Another statistical measure that you can find, which works like average, it gives you more information about your data. And first of all, let's see what our median is. Then we'll see if we need to talk more about the difference later on. But median is calculated by typing median, and Google suggests us an autocomplete. We click that. Now we can go back to our sheet and select the same column C, close the bracket and hit enter. So as you can see here, it looks like this, equals to median and then the sheet name and then the column name, and it gives you a median 5. Average and median are representing your central value, but there is a difference between average and how median is calculated. Imagine you have most of the people ordering, let's say your median is coming out to be 5, or your average is coming out to be 5. There are two kinds of scenarios here. One is that a lot of people are ordering only very few number of times or a lot of times. So let's say there are 10 people, 5 of them are ordering only once and 5 of them are ordering 10 times. If you'll get the average of all of this will still come in the middle, which is number 5. On the other hand side, if there are 10 people, but one ordered once, another one ordered 3 times, another one ordered 7 times, another one ordered 10 times, and it's equally distributed, again, the average will come out to be the same 5. But this kind of data is very different from the first scenario. And average and medians actually tell us this difference. If average and median is coming out to be same, it means this data is quite well distributed throughout the range. We'll find out more about this data if you decide to take this course, or if you decide to go into more details of data analysis, you can check that out more. But this was a very quick overview of how average and median are different, and they help you tell more about the data. But what's minimum and maximum telling us? So let's try to find out the minimum. So this is equal to minimum. And then again, I go back to the sheet and I'll uh, select the number of orders and I come back and oh, my minimum is coming out to be 0, which means there is some entry in the data where the minimum is 0, number of orders placed is 0. I wonder what kind of input is this? Because so let's actually go back to our sheet and find it out. I can do it in two ways. One is I can apply a filter here, clear everything else and only keep 0. And I select OK, and I am noticing that there are so many 15-20 rows that are actually having 0 number of orders. And this doesn't make sense because we are talking about delivery fee and we are talking about delivery time and preferences, and there is a name associated with the people, but the output, the number of data or number of orders is 0. That doesn't make sense. Most probably this is an error. Now you can decide whatever you want to do with this data. You want to delete this data or you want to fix this data. I'll leave this up to you and we can talk more about it later in more detail in some other session. But for now, we can just delete this or leave it as it is. I'm not going to fix it. The other way you can actually, instead of applying a filter, how you can also explore this data more is by applying sorting. This is also part of your descriptive analysis and how you can sort the data, and you'll see that this will tell you not only about the 0 values but also a distribution of the rest of the values. How we can do that? Select the data once you have it, and then you can go to data and sort range, and you go to advanced range sorting options. Here you tell them that there is a data row, definitely. And do you want to sort it in ascending order, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or do you want to sort it in descending order, like 10, 9, 8, 7, etc.? So we can sort it in A to Z. And according to which column do you want to sort? So we want to sort it according to number of orders in a month, and then we click OK, and then it sorts the data with respect to number of orders in a month. So all the zeros are popping up in the beginning, and then there are ones and twos and threes, and you can roughly see that, yeah, the number of each pattern is almost the same. Uh, that's just by skimming through the data points. And we can see that 10 is the maximum. So let's verify if 10 is indeed the maximum one. So you go back and we can put a max here as well. And we go with a max and max of, go back to the sheet, select column C, close the bracket, hit enter, and it's telling us 10. But this 0 is still bothering me, so let me remove this 0. So I'll go back, I'll scroll up, I'll select all the rows which are starting with a 0, and I'll right click and I'll delete the selected rows. And let me see if, oh wow, my minimum and my averages have now updated themselves. So as you saw, we already spoke about this. When you are doing descriptive analysis, this simple analysis is already telling you further problems of your data. Now we have, and also it's giving you certain trends. But now let's go next one step deeper and do some more exploration. Exploratory analysis is very much dependent on who your audience is, or in other words, for whom are you doing your analysis. Different kind of people will ask you different kind of questions from different points of view. So you need to identify first the scope of decision, and you need to identify what questions do you want to answer, and then you go tech. So what kind of scope is it? So for example, these 8 parameters that we have just seen, marketing people may want to look at this in a very different way compared to sales, business, or tech people. So for example, marketing people may want to know that which age group we should market more. So is there a difference between ordering preferences? And if yes, then they would like to know that. But the bigger question for marketing is, I want to advertise more. I want to give some loyalty programs. Who should I target? This in turn, I'll come back to this slide in a second, but this in turn will actually lead to further questions. How do I answer this question from marketing, that who is my target audience to whom I should offer advertisements or loyalty programs? So maybe we need to know the trends there with respect to age group, with respect to the number of orders placed. Maybe we want to target age groups with respect to their COVID uh, based uh, ordering preferences or changes. Or maybe we want to couple a certain parameters like age group with respect to online payment methods and so on and so forth. So what I'm trying to say here is first you identify the bigger scope, who is your audience for marketing, then you identify to answer this question that who should I target, I need to answer more questions like what is the trend, who is ordering more, who is being affected by COVID, who is making more online payments. For example, if somebody is only making cash payments, uh, offering them a credit card scheme based offer, it's not going to fly because they are not paying by card anyways. So for them, you need to have some other kind of coupon techniques. Coming back, your sales team will be interested in something different. So for example, should I shut down a particular shop? Should I increase a particular shop? Business might be interested in knowing, should I increase more payment options? But again, this answer needs to know what are the current payment trends and who are the users of those current payment options. The tech team, for example, might want to know, is there a heavy load on the system at certain time? Should I add more servers? So apparently this question, should I add more servers, is based on, are there high peak delivery times or ordering times, and there are low activity times. Is this region specific, etc.? So identify the scope of the decision, you identify the questions, and then you try to identify the answers. So let's take the example of marketing people, and let's say they want to know which age group should be targeted. So uh, that's our bigger question, which age group should be targeted? So, and for that, we want to see the trend in age group. We want to see age groups and let's say number of orders trend and so on and so forth. So let's just do this right now. So I'll go back to my sheet, and the solution for identifying these trends is to use pivot tables. How we can create a pivot table is you first of all select the data, and then you go to insert, and then you create a pivot table. It asks you where to create the pivot table. Let's add it to a new sheet so that our existing data remains the same. And it looks like this. You see some rows and you see some columns. So let's take one step back and just think about it. What do we want to calculate? We want to calculate that in the age group, how many people actually belong to different age groups. So we can see that there are people in the age group 18 to 30, 40 to 50, and so on and so forth. But first of all, I need to know how many people belong to each age group. So I want to group basically and count the different clients who are in different groups. How do I do that? What's the parameter I'm going to talk about? I'm going to talk about the age parameter. So let me go back to my pivot table, and here I'll add on the right hand side a row, which row we just spoke that we want to talk about age. So notice that as soon as we created this, it gave me all the age brackets that it would find in the age column. And now what do we want to do? We want to count how, I'm sorry, we want to count how many times some people from this age bracket actually placed an order, how many people are in this age bracket, how many people in this, and so on and so forth. What do we want to do? Count them. So let's count them. And how do I do this? I come to the, again, my right hand side. Under values, I add, I want to count age. And yeah, here I can actually do a lot with age. I want to indeed count them. So I just clicked count age, and here it tells me exactly the values that after all the cleaning up, we had 427 data points. Out of those 427 people, 293 people, 293 orders were actually coming from the age group 18 to 30, 42 times age group 30 to 40, and so on and so forth. And this is already a very good insight. Now my marketing team can actually say, okay, my target audience is actually the youngsters out there in the age group of 18 to 30. And below 18, actually, people are not placing orders, which makes sense because most probably they are using their parents' information. But above 50, our audience is very low, and but the major audience is coming from this age group. Let's dig a little bit deeper into what else do we want to find out. That actually, in this age group, how many times is each one of them placing orders? So let me add a new pivot table. Now I am not going to count only absolutely in absolute terms that how many people in this age group are placing orders. Rather, I also want to see that in each age group, how many times people are placing order once, two times, three times, four, five, etc. So again, let's go to insert and click on pivot table, and we can create a new sheet. Again, I want to stick to age. So my rows are going to be age. But this time I don't want to count just the number of orders. I want to count the number of orders based on another group, which is one times, two times, three times, four times. So I want to add columns here. I go to add, and columns are based on number of orders. So I say this. So now see what this has done. The rows are representing the different age brackets, and the columns are representing the different number of times the order was placed. And now, what do we want to fill in here? We want to count the values. So we add the values. And what do we want to count? Number of orders. And we want to not sum them, rather, we want to count them. And if I cross this, okay, I couldn't cross this. Yes, now we can see what happened here. Mm, my rows got deleted, so I'll put them back again. Yeah. So what did I want to see? This was exactly what we wanted to see, that how the number of people who are in the age group 18 to 30, how many times they are placing only one order. 17 people in this age group placed only one order. 41 times they placed order two times, and so on and so forth. And now this will give my marketing team a very clear answer on, hey, the data tells us that your target audience might be those people who are in the age group 18 to 30, and they are ordering maybe 4 to 6 times in a month. There are 22 people who are also placing 10 orders in a month. So maybe you may want to consider these people as well for your marketing. Your marketing may also decide that, okay, these are my loyal customers, so I want to offer them a loyalty card. That could be the service they want to introduce. Or they may want to say, who are the people who are there but not they are on the verge of maybe placing more orders, and maybe if we just introduce some facility for them, they will be our more loyal customers. So the marketing may decide to not focus on loyal customers, rather they want to focus on marginal customers, like who place orders only once or 2 times. So this is also what the marketing team may want to decide. So far, so good. But looking at these tables in this in at these huge tables may be a good idea for data analysts, but it not might be a very good idea for your target audience. They might not be number or tech savvy people. They may want to see some visuals. So this brings me to the last part of the to this pipeline, which is data visualization and storytelling. So it's very important that you represent your questions in a form which is easy to visualize. And I'll start with, I'll go back to the screen and we'll see what kind of plots we can generate. So let's start with this first one. It's always advisable that we copy this data before editing this to a new sheet, but even if you don't do it, it will work for smaller projects. So let's insert some charts here. So for that, I select the data and I go to insert and I insert chart. Google is actually suggesting itself, it auto suggests that which kind of chart makes the most sense for this particular kind of data. And this is a pie chart. And pie chart is very good for representing um, uh, ratios of your data points. So for example, here we can see that maybe looking at the numbers was not as interesting, but here we can instantly see that there is one pie of the uh, one slice of the pie which is taking a lot of space. And this is the one between 18 to 30 age bracket, and it's exactly taking 68.6% of your customer base. And then we have the other one, so we can see that 40 to 50 is the second group taking up 12%, and so on and so forth. So there are a number of ways you can actually represent your data. How you want to visualize it actually depends on the question that you are trying to answer, the type of data that you have, but it's equally important that you can visualize your data in some way that it makes sense for your users. So for example, if I want to plot this one, it would be a little bit more complicated, but let's select this data and let's insert a chart here and let's see what kind of information we can get out of here. So as we can see, if we try to plot this with respect to number of orders in a month, it's not making so much sense. Here we might want to select another kind of chart, which would be, let's say, you can go to customize, you select a chart style, or you even go to your setup, and instead of selecting a column chart, you say, I want to see the trends. And here now we can already see that with respect to number of orders in a month, there is one group which is much higher and dominating than the rest. And you can actually add labels and you can see already that number of orders in a month with respect to that your age group 30 to 40 is actually behaving very differently from the rest of your plots. And this actually brings me to the end of our analysis, because we have successfully completed the whole pipeline. So what we actually did here, I'll go back to the first slide actually. We took some data, we collected the data, we cleaned it up, we did the descriptive analysis, we did further exploration using pivot tables, and finally we were able to tell a story by combining the questions that we have just asked with the visuals that we just created. Of course, you can bring this all to a nice presentation and you can create a nice visual story basically based on the plots that you have created, and you can use Google Sheets we have used for exploration, but you can use Google Slides for actually presenting your findings. And with this, I take a step back now, and I am open to any questions that you may have. And hopefully, we'll have William joining back in any second. And he's here.
Humera, thank you so much. I think that's a great presentation, but also I think these workshops are so valuable because not only do you get your first chance to kind of look at a data set, but you can see like how you can take that data set right from the start of the process, that first cleaning, to eventually getting to a stage where you can actually present it as in visualization. And that's when it really becomes useful for a team. So thank you so much. We do have a couple of questions. But please, for the audience on Big Marker, if you just write in the chat or the Q&A, any questions about getting into data analytics, maybe questions about salaries, maybe questions about where do I start? I think these would be great questions to ask Dr. Humera whilst we have this time at the end of the webinar. I will start off, and apologies if I pronounce anyone's name wrong, it's not intentional. LTYeb is asking, to be a data analyst, is there a need to learn a programming language? Is there no need to learn?
That's a very good question, and that's a very commonly asked question. It depends on how deep do you want to go. To get started, no, you don't need any programming language. As we just saw, you can get started with data analysis by using an Excel or Google Sheet. Having said that, as you'll go further deeper into analysis, you would need more stronger tools to do your analysis, and that's where your programming skills would be needed. But it's not a prereq. I can actually recommend or refer to the course that we have at CareerFoundry. We really start from scratch without any programming experience. Start with Excel. After 2 to 3 months down the road, then we introduce programming like SQL and Python. And till that time, you are really well into, you get the hang of the subject, and then programming doesn't block you from moving further.
Awesome. Just following up on that, Amy's asked, do we always need to use Google Sheets? We chose Google Sheets for this workshop this evening just to make it as accessible as possible for the audience. But in our data analytics program, we'll be using Excel, but also lots of other programs too. So it's not just exclusive to Google Sheets. We just selected that for this workshop. Sarah's also asking, Humera, does a web analyst have a different skill set than a data analyst?
That's, again, a very good question. So web analyst is a specialization of data analyst. So data can be anything, but web analyst is more related to web-related data. So for example, a marketing analyst would be related to data which is coming from marketing team. And web analyst would be working on data which is more related to web specifications.
Fantastic. And Diana's asking, do we need a portfolio to land a job in data analytics?
Definitely. If you will have a portfolio, that will increase your chances several-fold. And but the portfolio doesn't have to be very complicated, and it's not a very cumbersome process to create a portfolio. Again, I'll give the example of this course that we have. We take up different data sets throughout the course, and throughout the course, we keep on developing projects, and just like you saw one, and we keep on adding them to the portfolio. So by the end, if you'll have even 2-3 projects, by the end of this course, you'll have at least 5-6 projects, but even with 2-3 projects, you can have a reasonable, decent portfolio. And again, yes, it's important.
Definitely. I think also we've seen not only with the data analytics program, but also with the other programs that we offer, the great thing is that when you have a portfolio of work and you've put it into a format which you can present to an employer in the interview setting, you can speak that employer through your projects, how you put them together, and you can walk them through stage by stage. And this makes you come across, I mean, because you've done the work, it's your own work, and you've done it with a mentor and a tutor at CareerFoundry. You have that kind of skill set and experience to convince the employer that you're the person for that job. So we find that time and time again that the portfolio is very, very important. I will move on to lots of questions coming through. It's awesome. Love questions. Let's have a look. Isaac's asking, what's the time frame to get an MSc in data analysis?
It's typically a 3-semester program, and now depending on a 2 to 3 semester program, depending on how many courses you take. So I have seen people taking 5 courses and then killing themselves at the time of assignment submission, but then they are able to finish within a year or 1.5 years. And if you want to take it slower, then it will definitely be more less hectic, more in depth, but it will take longer.
Awesome. I'm also mindful that we have got people watching on YouTube, so I will take a couple of comments that have come through on YouTube too. Hi, everybody on YouTube. I think Ricardo has asked a fantastic question, especially because we take people from scratch in data analytics with our program. What are some of the more complicated things we can see do at entry-level data analytics positions?
One of the most complicated things that I have noticed people is not tech. It's getting the hang of concepts of data. People miss out on why should I clean the data? Why should I sort the data? I can actually proceed without cleaning up or without doing that descriptive analysis. People actually find it difficult to follow the process. And that makes things difficult because if you try to jump up into the 5th step while skipping the first few steps, then the things won't make sense. And this is the biggest problem that I've seen there. But it's an easy to solve problem. And as I also said that some people think that data analysis, and this question might be in the pipeline, is very different from data science. Data science needs a lot of programming and a lot of in-depth mathematical skills. Data analysis doesn't need that. People also get stuck when they skip the data analysis part and they move directly to the data science part. And that makes things a bit difficult for them.
Awesome. I think also I'm just going to shamelessly plug the CareerFoundry YouTube channel because we have covered some of these topics in videos. Dr. Humera, I think about 5-6 months ago, we did some videos together where we covered some of these topics too. So if you're interested in data analytics or want to know more about data analytics, data science, the differences, we've got some videos, so definitely check out the CareerFoundry's YouTube channel. Following up on that, we've got one question on YouTube. What is the role of SQL and Python in data analytics?
Again, a very good question. It's all about data. And data is complicated. It can vary from simple to complicated. And the more complicated it becomes, the tools that you need to extract meaning out of that data would become more complicated. So imagine right now, we just saw that when we were working on one variable only, we were able to create a nice pie chart and a nice visualization. But as soon as we moved from one variable to 2 variables, the complexity of the output actually became more difficult or more high. The complexity became higher. Now add a couple more variables. Then Google Sheets and Excel are not enough to give you that power. And for that, you need tools like SQL and Python to dig deeper into the data and make sense out of the data.
Definitely, that was a great answer. A lot of people are also asking how to start off in data analytics. A little bit earlier, whilst Humera was talking, I did post that CareerFoundry has got a free short course. So I think it's 5 or 6 days, and it will be teaching some of the things that we have on the main program. I would say it's a great place to start. Even if you're not considering doing the main program with CareerFoundry, we do go into depth on the topics, and there are some tasks to get you started. So I'm going to send around an email tomorrow with the recording and PDFs from this presentation. I'll also send around a link, but it's worthwhile checking out the CareerFoundry website, because we do have a lot of free resources also on the blog to get you started in data analytics. So that's a great place to start, and it's free. So definitely recommend that. I will take a couple more questions. I'm just mindful of the time. In the Q&A section, are statistics important to a data analyst? That's being asked by Sarah.
Again, a very good question, Sarah. Yes, they are, but statistics can vary from very simple to very complicated. I don't consider lack of statistical knowledge as a blocker for starting data analysis. We just saw some descriptive statistics. Statistics is also the mean, median, mode, quartiles, and it can become as complicated as you want it to be. So yes, to get started, you don't need it. You can start with simple maths, but if you want to go deeper, I'll definitely encourage some more knowledge of stats.
Definitely. One attendee, Swapnil, has said, "Hi, I was working as an assistant professor. Can I shift to the data analytics?" I'll just quickly jump in there in that we have lots of CareerFoundry students who've had previous positions, and we think that's fantastic, because you have got a wealth. I don't know what your professorship was in or assistant professorship, but you will bring a wealth of skills to not only the program, but also when you're applying for jobs as a data analyst. So we always tell our students, don't forget what you've done in the past, because everybody's already sitting on a wealth of experience, soft skills, hard skills, and they will definitely assist you. So that's going to be my answer. But I'll want to hear Humera's answer too.
You gave a perfect answer, and I'll just add that I exactly had the same transition. I was in the academia first half of my career, and then I moved towards industry as a data analyst. So I'm here as an example for you.
And Humera, just a question for you. When did you think data analytics was going to be a career for you? When did you think, okay, I think I'm actually going to pursue this as a career?
My first interaction with data was actually during my undergraduate, but I actually took the other way around. I went to the machine learning module first, and then when I transitioned from academia to industry, then I by chance got into a job which was a data analysis related. And there my eyes were like lit up when I looked at the data, and I said, okay, we don't need to have complicated solutions. Data is so powerful. So it was during that transition that I realized. And that
Awesome.
was like 10 years ago. So data and data analysis is a field which is like not new. It's really a mature field now, and it's not going anywhere. I have only seen the importance of data analysis grown and grown.
Do you also see that on the jobs market too, when you're looking on jobs board and the roles which are available and also the salaries that you're seeing?
Exactly. So especially with this pandemic, so many companies have gone online, and so much of data is now being generated online, and we need analysis of that data, and we need now professionals who can analyze that data. So it has definitely gone up, especially in the last 2 years.
Definitely. Agnes is asking, do the online data sources, are they reliable for a master's student thesis? I would just say, always check where your source is coming from, always reference your source. Obviously, if it's from the World Health Organization or the UN, these are legitimate sources, but always be careful where you take your data from. It's always better to get a reference. And if you are taking data, make sure you reference where you're getting it from. That's always a good place to start. One more question from Sadiq is, what about references with CareerFoundry? Do CareerFoundry help with references? I suppose that's in more kind of like getting a job part.
Should I answer, or do you want to take it?
I think Humera, I think you should, yeah, I think you should answer that one.
Yep. References definitely. So we have a lot of you have a lot of contact points where technical people are supervising you, and you can definitely get references from them, because if people are mentoring you, they are coaching you as a tutor, they are professionals from the field, and then they are also very happy to help you provide references to whenever you apply for job. In fact, one of the parts of a job preparation course is for you to build your LinkedIn profile. And I've had students who approach me saying, can you give me a recommendation on my LinkedIn? Because LinkedIn is the new resume tool. And I have given them over there. So yes, definitely.
Fantastic. And I think, just mindful of the time, I'll take one last question for this evening from Sarah. Maybe just talking a little bit about salary expectations at different skill levels. Yeah.
To begin with, as the salary expectations for an analyst are lower than that of a programmer. But as you proceed, and this, okay, that may sound very negative all of a sudden, but an analysis and development, software development are very different things. They have very two different tracks. The room for growth as you build your skills, the salary becomes comparable with those of developers very soon. Having said that, your salary will depend a lot on a lot of other factors as well, like your location and your field in which you are applying. If you are applying with a bigger company or with a smaller company, so it's quite possible that in a bigger company, the salaries of data analysts are more than the salary of a developer in a smaller company, and so on and so forth. So, but they are very uh, at par with the standards of the industry.
Fantastic. I think on the CareerFoundry blog too, we've also got a couple of blog articles which look at data analytics salaries. And just like Humera said, it's also very much based on geographical location. But it can be said that data analytics is a very competitive salary compared to other fields, and depending on what experience you do have in growing in the industry. Humera, thank you so much for presenting this evening, for going through the whole data analytics process in under an hour and fielding so many fantastic questions. We had a lot of engagement this evening, great questions from the audience. Nice to meet everybody. We hope to see you on a program or a course at CareerFoundry very soon. What I would say is that this June, we are offering 100 partial scholarships, so discount off our full program. And to claim that, all you would have to do is click the little sticky note that I've posted in the top right-hand corner, and you can have a chat with one of our program advisors. Also, if you've got any questions about the program, you know, the curriculum that we offer, the kind of support that we offer, the job guarantee, you know, everything about CareerFoundry, our program advisors are there to take your calls, and so you can learn more about what we do, but also about the different payment options that we have and the different courses that we offer, because we do offer quite a few courses, and there's a lot of information to take in, but they're very happy to guide you. So just click that, book a call, and I would just once again say, yeah, we've got lots of free material too. So check out the CareerFoundry blog. Also check out YouTube. We've got lots of videos up there. And Humera, once again, thank you for presenting this evening, and thank you for everybody for attending. And yeah, check out the events. I think we've got some upcoming events coming too. And yeah, have a good evening, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.